You've got your new EFile and you've got your new bits. It can be very confusing. Let me simplify this. Okay, so you've got your new EFile. It's so exciting. I love new stuff, especially EFiles. When I designed my new EFile, I had very specific points that I wanted to bring out, which was 35,000 RPMs. 30,000 and up is great. You want that strength for your EFile. I also wanted a slender handpiece, and I don't want something too heavy. When they're bulky this way, they're quite heavy this way. Here's a pro tip. Always store your hand file with a bit in it. Now, if you notice when you get your EFile, it's got a little silver post in it. If you're not going to put a bit in it, keep that silver post stored inside your handpiece all the time. You don't want to leave the chuck empty. So always store something in it. Now, this is all the fancy stuff. You don't have to have a stand for it. You don't have to have it where you can put the bits in the front. You can hold up to 7 bits in this. You want a nice dial and forward and reverse. A nice big LED screen. You don't need that, but it's nice to have. And you can see the RPMs. And when you turn up the dial, you can see the RPMs going up. Which brings me to a nice quiet EFile. So to get your bit in and out of the hand file, you want to look for this. See that little lock sign? Right now the arrow is right above it. That means the bit is locked in. To release that, you want to unlock, put it in the unlocked. You can hear it click. Now it's in the unlock position. And we can pull the bit right out. And that's, of course, how you put the new bit in. And then you want to lock the bit in. You never want to use the EFile when the bit is not in. And this EFile comes in its little charging station, and you want to be able to plug it in the back right there. When you're charging it, this is a portable, but you never want to charge it and use it at the same time. Charge it and then use it. And what I love about my EFile is you can take it apart to clean it. If you're an educator or you're doing pedicures, you can make your unit really portable by this little belt loop. You can just hook it onto your back pocket or your little front apron. Much, much easier to take around. Here's the little pocket that it sits in, and then the EFile is separate. And if you turn it over, I have a couple little reminder instructions that are really important when you're EFiling. So it's very, very easy for cleaning. And this is basically a desk unit. I mean, it's portable, but it's nice to be able to have a little unit to keep it in. So that's just a quick rundown on some features that you want to look for in your EFile. So let's talk about bits. So once you have your nice EFile, it's really so much all about the bits. No matter what EFile you have, fortunately, all bits are pretty much interchangeable. There are 332 in case you want to know, and they all will interchange with any EFile. But this bit kit is the best because these are the 3 bits you really gotta have. All the other bits are great and you can really explore that, but these are the 3 basic bits you definitely need to get started. Okay, so I'm looking at my beautiful bits, but I find this thumb of mine really ugly and distracting. But we're gonna get to that. That's gonna be our model today. So this is my cleanup bit, and this is the mandrel. This is for doing natural nails mostly, and this is your bulk and sculpt. This guy will take away all the bulk. This is gonna prep the natural nail, and this is gonna clean up underneath. If you forget that, all the details are on this little postcard that's included, and it explains what each and every bit does, which is what I'm gonna show you right now. Okay, I love filing. I mean, I love application. It's one of my favorite things because it's very creative. But once you get all that product on, sculpting and shaping and filing brings your nail to life. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna need a bulk and sculpt. Because with this ugly nail that we want to get at, I'm going to show you all the things that your bulk and sculpt can do for you. Okay, so here's our model today. This is one ugly nail. It has grown out. I have filled the rest because I couldn't take it anymore. And this one I was hanging on to the last minute to do this video because it's got all the surfaces that I need. It's got the acrylic, it's got a bit of lift going on, it's got the natural nail, and this is really helpful to this video that I'm doing right now because it's got all the surfaces we need. So I now am looking at this and I've got to get my gel off. This is indicative of a fill. Of course it's lifted, so it's a little bit more wear and tear. But this is what I'm going to be faced with every time I do a fill on a customer. So I need to, first of all, get the gel polish off. This is where the Bulk and Sculpt is a great bit. Look at that. It's got some great teeth on there. It's going to be able to dig into that gel and pick it right up. But you still have to have some education. You just don't get your EFile, plug it in, turn it on, and it does all the work for you. E-filing is, of course, a great drill. Of course, the right bits for the right job, but it's all about the speed and the pressure and your experience combined that makes a great E-file artist. So because we're learning, we're gonna turn it on at a lower speed. Now, if you're learning, I do not suggest you start with a Bulk and Sculpt. You're gonna start with a arbor band, okay? Now, the Bulk and Sculpt is a bit that is going to take off this gel. I'm gonna turn it up a little bit. You really don't need to work with your drill. I call it a drill because that's what we called it in the 80s. We used to work on dentist drills. Oh, I wish I had I'll try to find a picture of that. So we wanna turn it up to about anywhere between 5 to 15,000 RPMs, depending on your level of comfortability. The higher an E-file goes does not mean it's going to take off more stuff if you don't know how to control it. So I suggest you start lower. Let's do a 5 or a 6. And you can see this bit is very effective in taking off product. So this is 6,000 RPMs. And you can see that it takes that off pretty good. Let's look at 10,000. Pretty good. It's a little bit, it's making that little noise because I'm on an angle. I'm doing myself, so it's a little bit different. 15,000 RPMs, I'm very comfortable with it, so we can do that. See, it takes it off pretty good. But because I'm doing myself, and I'm not really focusing because I'm talking as well, I'm gonna turn it down a little bit to make sure that when it does slip or anything like that, I'm not gonna cut myself. Now, if I'm doing a customer and I'm taking off the gel polish, I'm going in at 15, 16, maybe 17, if it's a really thick layer of gel polish, and I'm going to pull it off. But I've got one hand to hold that customer, and I've got this hand, and I'm stabilizing. This is the #1 technique you need to know when you're e-filing. Stabilize. I can't tell you enough. You know what they say about business, location, location, location? Well, e-files is stabilize, stabilize, stabilize. And how you can do that when you're doing yourself, I do this with a customer as well. Let's pretend this customer is the thumb, and I'm holding on to them, and this is the thumb. I will take my pinky here, and I will place it somewhere on the side of their nail, on the side of their finger, or my finger when I'm holding them. That's usually what I do. And I stabilize. You can do it on your desk. I have short fingers, so I'm going to do it on the person's hand or my hand. And that's what I'm doing is I'm stabilizing. I'm using my pinky as a pivot point, as a point of anchor. I'm gonna have to get in there a bit better. There we go. Okay, so I stabilized and took off that layer. When we're taking off the bulking of the product, that's why I call it Bulk and Sculpt, because you can take off a lot of bulk, but you gotta still stabilize. So right now I'm gonna take off the free edge, but I'm gonna turn it up a little bit because now I'm digging into some thicker product. Let's just do a little bit. This is the 10,000 RPMs. So I'm putting a little bit of pressure on it. And you can see it just takes off part of the end. Let's turn it up to 15,000. It's gonna be thicker now because I'm digging through the nail. Make sure you're anchored. You can even go under and maybe take off this corner if I want to. Let's say I want to round that up a little. Much product, it really takes off. Look at that. Let's take this end of it off here. Look at that. That's what happens when you got a great bit. You can really take away a lot of product. So now I'm going to turn it down to, let's say 10, because I want to thin this out. Let's take a look how thick it is. It's hard to see, so I'm going to just put my finger in there so you can see the one end. And then if I put my finger here, you can see how thick it is, okay? Now I'm only filing on the fake nail. I am not filing on the natural nail. This is not a bit you want to file on the natural nail. I even write that on the little card that comes with it. And it says, not ideal for natural nails. Do not use this on a natural nail. So this is when you have confidence and you're filing on the fake nail, acrylic, hybrid gel, hard gel, whatever you're using, full cover tip. So I am taking away a considerable amount of bulk, and you can see it all landing on the mat here. Here's a great tip too. File back and forth, back and forth. You can go one way. It's no big deal. You can go one way all you want, but you're losing time. If you go back and forth, you're going to pick up your time. Okay, so you can see it's getting thinner and thinner and thinner. I only do this move when I want to take away a lot of bulk. Very handy to do this move on the free edge, especially to remove bulk. I'm just going to keep filing to get rid of this product. Boy, did I ever lift it. Ouch. This is what happens when you don't get a nail filled and you keep putting it off. It really hurt the last time I bent this back. I did it about 3 times. My little trick for this, I just keep filing until the product gets really thin, and then the icky product just flakes off. Okay, so I'm getting down to it now. Let's switch to a gentler bit because we're getting much closer to the natural nail. So when I'm using pressure, that's one thing it's hard to really tell on or explain on video is I can't show you pressure. So you want to put enough pressure in that you have control, but if your speeds are too high, be careful if you lose control, you could cut. You always want to stop yourself from losing control. So a lower speed is better. If you got great bits, you got to have good bits and a good EFile. You want to have a lower speed, more control, so that if you do fall off, you're not going to cut yourself or the customer. So we're going to change our bit. Don't forget, unlock first. Pull your bit out. Pop your new bit in. And this is a mandrel. Now, as you can see, you can't file on that. So we have to get our little arbor bands. Now, I do include them in my little bit kit. You've got medium, fine, and coarse. So you get a sample of all 3. Now, the green ones are coarse. I'm not going to use those because I want to file down to my natural nail. And the purple ones are medium and fine. You can use either of those for natural nail. These are friction fitted, so you just take it and slide it on. Cameraman, you might find this interesting.
Oh, yeah?
When we were younger, when we first started doing filing, our bits were twice the size of this one. So we were trying to get into those little corners with a much, much bigger bit.
Twice the size. Wow.
Yeah, it was. And you had to unscrew it to replace the bit with a little screwdriver. It was literally screwed in to loosen it, to pull it out, to put a new one on, and tighten it back on again.
That sounds like a lot of work.
Well, it wasn't really a lot of work, but it really slowed you down, and it was time-consuming to do it. And so we kept a whole bunch of bits because we didn't want to keep doing that during the customer, right?
Right.
Pain. Or during the day. Just a pain. So nowadays, they're just friction fitted, which is kind of nice. And I do have something to show you. Don't let me forget, Cameraman, to show them the new bits, new arbor bands that we have now. Make it even easier. Okay.
New ones?
Yeah, new ones. You don't even know. I haven't even told you yet.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I will turn this on literally a 1 or a 2. It's nice and slow because I'm getting down to the natural nail. I am just filing the product right now. And I'm only working with a 1. See how the product is just, I'm not forcing it off. It is literally flaking it off because it's ready to go. It just does not want to be on there. Okay, so let me just remove the dust. Now, this is very light pressure. I'm letting the EFile do most of the work. I'm not taking off any bulk, so I don't have to add any pressure. And the bit here is very, very gentle. Okay, so you can see where this whiteness and all this kind of ickiness here, This is natural nail bits in here. This whiteness is my natural nail, tiny bits of the natural nails lifted from banging it and smashing it into something, and then it pops this way and rips a little bit of my natural nail. But all in here is all the natural growth that's been growing in for 8 weeks that is untouched. So right now I'm going to take my EFile and just soften these edges here and get rid of this little lift here. Now, if you do little quick stabs and very gently, you can get all this off quite easily without harming the customer whatsoever, even though it was bruised and sore a little bit because I bashed it so hard. If you get really good at this, you can do this and the customer doesn't even know you're doing it, and you prepared the nail and you didn't hurt them at all. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Now I'm going to go into the natural nail. This is a new set, nail fill, regardless of all the little ickiness we have here. We're just working on the natural nail and preparing it for the new product. So a big tip when you're filing, keep your file level. Don't go and tack it in on an angle. Let me show you sideways. So the natural thought is maybe you go in on an angle to get this little edge here to get right down into the cuticle. It doesn't work that way. Okay, so just make sure you go much more parallel like this. Okay, much more parallel. Don't go in like this. And I'm going to gently go up the side. I'm going to go right up the side, and I'm going to go around the cuticle, and I'm keeping it quite level, going back and forth, and I will turn the angle, my file a little bit on an angle to get that little extra corner up in there, and I will turn it on a side here to get that little corner up in there. But overall, I'm going back and forth, very, very gently, and this is only 1,000 RPMs. Look at that. That nail, I'll just put this little edge right here. I'm just getting extra picky. I don't have to do this, but I'm just gonna. Okay. This nail is ready to have product applied. Okay, let me show you what your third bit does. This is the cleanup bit, I call it. Look at the colors of that bit. Isn't that pretty?
I like it.
That. It is pretty, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Little things. Okay, so this is shaped like a cone shape, and that's deliberate for underneath. These bits are great for that. And it's got quite a bit of teeth in there. Now, a lot of times when we're doing new nails, we put a form on, or we're putting a full cover tip on or something, and the product seeps underneath. That's normal. It can always do that. It's very normal. So we need a bit to get under there and file that crap out. So this is what we do. So we want to put it on low, especially when we're learning, and we want to go underneath that nail. Now, I don't have much going on under here, so let's just kind of like fake it a little bit. This bit, you can see the shape. Look how snug it fits in there. Really, really snug. Now, if you have a high hyponychium, which I do, you want to be very cognizant of that and don't dig into it. So all you're doing is you're working the whole bit. We're not just talking about the tip here. We're talking about the whole part of the bit, up the side of it. And we're leaning against the inside of that nail. And we're just gently going back and forth. This is a 1,000 RPM. I am in complete control. I'm going back and forth, and I'm taking away the product of what I need. I don't have to go crazy. I don't have to go fast. This is also a really nice bit to clean up underneath after clients had their nails done. A lot of clients love that surface when you just clean up. That's why I called it the cleanup bit. They will say, "Give me the cleanup." And you just go underneath and make it all nice and clean. Nails get stained from foundation to gardening to just life. Okay, look at that. That's nice. That's what that bit's for. Okay, so let me show you something that I'm just about ready to launch, that I'm super excited about. Let me just move me dust out of the way. Oh, before I show you that, let me show you one more thing. Now, some people don't really like this, but I've been doing this for 35 years. You know how I clean my bits? When you're working with product, sometimes product can get stuck and embedded a bit, like ingrained in your bits. You want to get those out. Acetone. Acetone eats the product off of your bits. You want to pour a little bit of acetone in a dish. I will take my bits and I will swish them inside, and I will even leave them in there and let those bits rest inside that product or the acetone for maybe 5-10 minutes. Sometimes I'll leave a set in there while I'm doing another client. This will also clean and disinfect your bits too. Now, I've been doing this for years. A lot of people don't like that. They think acetone is going to eat your bits. It won't eat you. If you've got good bits, it's not going to eat your bits. It's going to clean your bits really, really well, especially with acrylic. Get it all off of there so you're ready to handle the next customer. Okay, so let me show you my new bits. Get ready for adorable. Are you ready, Cameraman?
I'm ready.
Looks like meh, right?
Well,
wait till you see this.
I don't think meh.
Well, because it's like, so what? Watch this, it's so cute. We're going smaller. It's because it's the mini version of this.
Oh, mini thin ones.
Yes, look at the one I was using. I wish I had one of my old ones from the mid-'80s so you could see how big it was, but it was twice as big as this purple one. But look at this little guy.
Oh, that's cool.
Is that the cutest?
Does that make it easier to get in around the cuticle?
Yeah, it will make it easier. I mean, I've worked had the big one out, right? We didn't have any smaller ones. And so this one for me is really easy, but people are still having trouble trying to get into this. That's what's causing lifting. If you can't get into those every little corners of that nail, I mean, it's just a little area, but in the lifting world of nails, it's a huge lift. So this can help you get into those little corners. Let me show you. So this is a 240 that come in. I'm going to have them in the one box. I'm going to make it the one kit with the arbor band with 4 different grits. We've got 240, 150, 80, and 180. That's basically fine, extra fine, medium, and coarse. Okay, so this one, let's pop it in. I think they are the cutest. What a smart idea. So remember, when we're learning, let's just start with 1 and check this little baby bit. Baby bits, that's what I should call them, baby bits. Look at that. Oh, so gentle. When I file, just as a side note, I don't push my cuticles back ahead of time. I push them back with my arbor band. It saves time and it's extremely effective. Well, these are adorbs. Look at that, isn't that cute? I'm in love. Anything to make it a little bit easier at the nail table. Okay, look how nice that files it up and prepares it for product. Beautiful. Okay, before you go away, I just want to show you the bits in the acetone. Look at this. See all the bits of product in the dish? I don't know if you can see that. I'll see if I can turn it on an angle. See all the bits in there?
I see something floating around in there.
Yeah, that's all the acrylic that it took off of the bits. Look at them, brand new. Look at that. Nice and clean. See, acetone is your friend. Thanks for joining me. Catch you guys in the next video.